General Hospital spoilers Monday, April 14th. Spooked Willow retaliates. Christina blindsided. Rick warns Trim, Ava. Sidwell's going to romance the pants off this lucky lady. Let's get into it. General Hospital spoilers Monday, April 14th. Spooked Willow retaliates. Christina blindsided. Rick warns Trim, Ava. General Hospital spoilers for Monday, April 14th, reveal that Spooked Willow Corinthos will avenge while Christina Corinthos Davis gets blindsided. Rick Lansing will also advise a Trim Ava Jerome. So let's talk about what's ahead in Port Charles. For starters, Trina Robinson will ask Portia Robinson what she set up out about Kai Taylor's surgery, so she'll remain concerned about him and will want to know everything she can about what he's signing up for. Although Portia feels like this procedure is a good option for Kai, Drew Kane's involvement comes with questions about his motives. As a result, Trina will open up to Portia about her moping fears on Monday's show. As for Willow, she'll be spooked there's some verity to Carly Spencer's vaticination about taking the kiddies down. Drew has promised not to let that be, but Willow will still partake her worries with Nina Reeves. Willow will eventually make a huge choice on Monday's occasion. So could she do an about-face on her decision to move in with Drew? Will this involve trying to get a restraining order against Carly, or some other legal initiative to block her rather? In Jack Brennan's suite, Carly will drop the confident act and admit she might have just handed Michael Corinthos' children over to Willow and Drew. Nonetheless, Brennan will give Carly some consolation and help her with some strategies to fight whatever Willow might be cooking up with Drew's help. Meanwhile, Sonny Corinthos will quiz Laura Collins about whether notoriety is obliging her to come after him. Laura has no intention of being a betrayer, but she may admit all this drama with Ezra Boyle could get unattractive. Sonny will also have enterprises about the vote that's coming up for the beachfront's position, since this will really serve as a vote on the mob master and his home. At General Hospital, Rick will try to telephone Ava's Trim station down a notch. When it comes to this whole blackmail situation, Rick will advise that it may not be the done deal that Ava thinks it is. Although Ava will believe she's got Alexis Davis right where she wants her, Alexis just made a bold move that's going to change the game. At Diane Miller's urging, Alexis told her to go ahead and file the papers to have Christina committed. That means Christina is about to be blindsided by Alexis' decision to force her into treatment. It'll be for Christina's own good, since it might be the only way to save her from captivity. Not to mention, she authentically needs professional help. Molly Lansing, Davis will add to Christina's guilt on Monday's occasion by talking about the one good thing to come from her Pater's accident. Maybe Molly will be pertaining to her exploded relationship with Christina now that they're acting like real sisters again. Still, both Molly and Christina are in for a shock when they get updates on Alexis' paperwork to have Christina thrown in an internal institution. General Hospital spoilers say that news will shake effects up in the coming occurrences, so stay tuned. General Hospital Sidwell's going to romance the pants off this lucky lady. General Hospital sees Jen Sidwell settling down in Port Charles, and they're likely going to brace him up in a love with some lucky lady. We're going to bandy who Sidwell's character should end up with, whether it's an amorous one-night stage, a short fling, or a full-blown grand love. Jen Sidwell's romantic history and current flirtations in Port Charles. So we formerly know Holly Sutton was his last romantic mate. And he clearly showed her a good time up until she stole a fortune in uncut diamonds and ran off with them. Since Sidwell arrived in Port Charles, he has been kittenish with many ladies. And although he comes off as enough unlawful, perhaps the right woman can turn him around after he'd bad luck with his marriage and with conwoman. Implicit love interests for Jen Sidwell in Port Charles. So, we've got many ideas of who Sidwell's first love might be in Port Charles. Just to let you know, we do have Jordan Ashford on the list because she is interested. She's all about Dr. Isaiah Gannon and is just playing games. Natalia, a possible reunion with Sidwell on General Hospital? Number 1, we got to start out egregious with Sidwell's sex-wife, Natalia Rogers Ramirez. For a while, it looked like Sonny Corinthos might be moving once fellowship with Natalia and into commodity more. But this week, Sonny squashed any possibility of that passing because he just ended there. I'll call it a situationship. Natalia didn't tell Sonny that Sidwell was Herrick's husband and that they partake a son until he pried it out of her. So now, Sonny doesn't feel like trusting Natalia, and Sonny expects complete trust with everybody in his inner circle. Indeed, though, he doesn't give it back to them. He keeps his secrets, but nothing's allowed to keep them from him. You guys know how it is. With a lot of people in city perhaps not liking Natalia too much, she didn't get off on the stylish bottom. General Hospital, the line between love and detest. You know, there's a chance she could run back and reunite with Sidwell if there's no other guys interested in asking her out. Of course, Natalia has said that she and Sidwell detest each other, but that doesn't mean anything on a cleaner pieces. You know, there's a thin line between love and hate, and adversaries to suckers is always a hot love twist. Still, I'll say I do and really give Natalia and Sidwell much of a chance because he seems enough shocked with her. And Natalia seems to have done him dirty ever since Sidwell indicted her of destroying their family. Alexis Davis. A distraction from family drama? Now, number 2 on my list is another single lady with whom he's interacted, Alexis Davis. Sidwell runs into her a lot because he owns Windermere and Ladle Island. And Alexis Davis is the trustee for the Cassadine estate, so they cross paths relatively a bit. Of course, Sidwell can be relatively fascinating when he wants to be. And Alexis has her hands full with her deranged son, Christina Corinthos Davis, right now. But that's all the more reason for her to consider some Sidwell sexiness in her life because she really needs the distraction. Let's be real, Alexis is no foreigner to getting involved with bad boys that pretend to be legal. After all, she was smitten with Sonny for a while times and times agone. And they partake a child, Christina. General Hospital diabolical dealings. Also, of course, there's Julian Jerome, who held a cutter to her throat. And also satanic Jerry Jacks, who has done all feathers of stuff to her. Of course, Rick Lansing in his full-bloated villain period was another of her loves, just to name a many. So, it doesn't feel out of the question that Alexis could find herself attracted to Sidwell. Of course, it might be awkward since his son Marco was just hired by her law establishment, and they might try and keep that family tie under wraps for a while. Sure, Sidwell tried to kill many people while overseas on General Hospital. But you know, Alexis committed vehicular homicide, and she tossed a man off a deck to his death formerly. So, you know, potato, right? Diane Miller a feisty match for Sidwell? Alright, number 3 on our list, we've to have Diane Miller among our canon of implicit love interests for Sidwell. I mean, if not Alexis, why not her single bestie Diane? Since Marco handles his pater's business affairs, we'll be seeing Sidwell up at their office. So they will run into each other. What's not clear is whether Marco is going to tell Diane and Alexis that Sidwell is his father. I do and suppose so, because when Marco mentioned bringing his customer JS Investments or JS whatever on board, he didn't say it was his pater's company. And the JS is obviously for Jen Sidwell, so that sounds like they're going to keep it covert to me. We know Diane is long overdue for some love. And she doesn't mind a bit of a bad boy either, since she preliminarily dated toughest Sentry Max Giambetti, and contentious Diane could clearly keep Sidwell on his toes. I could see him being charmed by Diane, and Sidwell charming her right back. Plus, Diane needs notoriety to help her get over Robert Scorpio formerly and for all. And it might also be a fun twist for Diane to date Sidwell, who's Holly's partner, since they also partake Robert in their collective histories. Of course, it'd be super racy to see Holly and Robert's responses whenever they drift back Port Charles if Diane was with Sidwell. Lucy Coe, a flirty business partner? Alright, number 4 on our list, of course, we cannot forget Lucy Coe. She has been in Sidwell's route since day one because she vended him Windermere, and Lucy has been heavily flirting with him for a while, inviting Sidwell out for regale, for drinks, intimating at conceivably more. She wanted her partner, Martin Gray, back. But he told her it'll no way be, and General Hospital seems to have written off her other partner, Scott Baldwin, for good. So Lucy could use a good cuddle. And Silver Fox Sidwell might be the man for the job. Plus, Lucy got Sidwell involved in her company, Deception. And they just lately inked a contract to do business together. Also, Sidwell just agreed to capitalize the entire Nurser's Ball, which is Lucy's pride and joy. Sidwell and Lucy are extremely kittenish formerly. And they spend a lot of time together, plus Lucy loves the bad boys. So, it seems like they could be a perfect fit. And she's made it relatively clear if Sidwell's interested. She's ready, willing, and further than suitable to entertain him. Nina Reeves, a distraction from family drama? Alright, number 5. The last lady on the list we want to talk about is of an age to be a good match for Sidwell, and like these other ladies, also has dodgy taste in men. We're talking about Nina Reeves, whose last fling was the truly despicable Drew Kane Quartermain, who's now with her son. I mean, if Nina dated Sidwell, and he stayed out of Willow Tate's wastes, that would be a step up in everybody's opinion. And Nina desperately needs commodity to distract her from Willow's mess with Drew, and formerly Willow finds out Nina slept with Drew, it's going to get worse. So Sidwell could be a fun change of pace for Nina, although Sonny might lose his mind, perhaps indeed get a little jealous. And that could be delightful given that Sonny just called off his blowing thing with Sidwell's partner, Natalia. So we could indeed have a little triangle action in the blend. It sure seems like they're drawing up Sidwell's act a little bit, of a redemption conceivably. Keep him on the character oil in Port Charles for a while. And that means a love is likely in his future. So, will it be one of these lovely ladies, perhaps? Thanks for watching these videos. Please hit the subscribe button for more updated news.